Hi, this is Mrs. Criswell with Lineage Society Genealogy, and today I'm going to show you my census record research chart for Lineage Society applications. This really helps when you're at the library or the archives, or if you're online looking at census record images on Ancestry or Family Search. Just a few things to keep in mind about census records. The informant, or the person who answered the questions from the census taker, cannot be determined. We'd like to think it was the head of household who answered the questions, but we really don't know. It could have been a teenage child, or it could have been a neighbor. And that's important to keep in mind because it leads us to the second point, which is that discrepancies between census records are common. So for example, John Smith's birthplace could be listed in one census record as Kentucky. The next census record, it could be listed as Tennessee. And it's possible that two different people answered that question, one in the first census, one in the second. You may need to include more than one record for an individual, and that's because census records included various pieces of information, but not the same information, and questions may have been worded different from one census to the other. In general, most lineage societies will only accept census records 1850 or later as what they loosely call proofs, and I'll show you why. This is an 1840 census record. The census is officially started in 1790, and from 1790 to 1840, you really only saw the head of household listed. Everyone else in the family was listed either male or female, and a tick mark was placed within an age range. So this doesn't give us very much information at all, except it might help us with an indirect evidence case, and it can be used for that. But in and of itself, it doesn't tell us anything specific about Caleb Baker. But let's go to 1850. Suddenly things look a lot different. The census taker would list the dwelling number in the order in which it was visited, and then would list everyone in the household by name. So in the Charles Williams family, we see that someone is old enough to be his wife, and then maybe the rest of them are children of Charles Williams. Everyone has an age and a place of birth, and if there was an occupation, it would be listed as well. This is the kind of specific information that you really want if you're including a census record with your Lineage Society application. So this is my census records information chart. I start with 1850 for the reasons that we just discussed, and I end in 1940 because by that point, birth certificates are required by law in the vast majority of states, and that will be your go-to record to get birth information. If birth certificates aren't available, then you can definitely turn to census records for that information. Past 1940, we tend to get into some privacy issues, and so census records may be harder to find. And as of the recording of this video, the 1950 census records are not in an image database on Ancestry or Family Search, but at some point they will be, but not right now. You may have noticed that I didn't put in an 1890 census record in my chart, and I did that for a reason. Unfortunately, in 1921, the 1890 census records were largely destroyed in a courthouse fire in Washington, D.C. Very sad. As a result, only fragments remain of that census record, and so I chose not to include it for that reason. It is possible that you'll find your family in an 1890 census record, but highly unlikely. I just want you to know that it did exist at one point, it was taken, but it's largely not available today. If you like this chart, if you think it would be helpful, please download a copy on my website, lsgenealogy.com. It's under the Tools and Resources section. I'll point out a few key things on this chart that I think would be helpful to know. In blue is all the information pertaining to birth, and in pink is all of the information containing to marriage. Then I did include occupation and relation to head of household at the bottom. That's also important. This is not an exhaustive list of all information that you can find in each one of these census records. Census records are really great to use as jumping off points for further research, but this is what I found to be the most helpful. I also didn't include any information relating to veteran status. You will also find that on the census records, and some of them anyway, but the reason I didn't include it is because most lineage societies don't accept census records as proof of service. So again, if you find that information in a census record, you can definitely use it to plan future research, but you wouldn't necessarily be able to submit a census record as proof that your ancestors served in a particular war. The other interesting thing to note, just while we're on specifics here, is the 1900 census record. You notice that there is a year of birth. The specific year of birth of each individual is listed. Notice the age is also there. Well, there's a difference with age and year of birth. With year of birth, we have an exact year that we can put down on our Lineage Society application. But age just gives us an approximate year. For example, if someone was listed as 10 years old in 1900, we don't know if they had just turned 10 or if they were about to turn 11. And so for this reason, we would have to put circa 1890. If their year of birth was actually listed as 1890 in the 1900 census record, then we could put that without the circa or the C in front of it. For place of birth, you are likely going to get the 2-letter state abbreviation or the name of a territory. Same thing with father and mother's place of birth if they were born in the United States. If not, you'll likely just get the name of the country. Towards the bottom, you see occupation listed. That can be very useful if you're applying to an occupational lineage society. Relationship to head of household is, of course, important in establishing the generational link. But it is important to keep in mind that just because someone is listed as a son or a daughter doesn't necessarily mean it's a biological son or daughter. Could be a stepchild. Niece and nephew are terms that are also used loosely and may not actually indicate a biological relationship. So just keep that in mind. These were the sources that I used, and there's so much more information available on these sources. So I would definitely recommend taking a look at them for more information or to search census records that you're interested in. Please like this video and subscribe for more, and visit my website for more information. You can also email me with any questions. I love questions. And thanks for watching.